Welcome to Cebu Medicine, and today we'll be talking about the male reproductive systems. And whenever we talk about any systems, we need to first talk about the structure, anatomy, and also the histology aspect of it, okay? So now let's talk about this. So if you see here, okay, this is a male reproductive system right here, okay? So first let's name these different structures, okay? So remember, look at this structure right here, okay? There are two of them. This is called your testes, all right? So you guys know this, right? And there are two of them, and your left testis is slightly lower than your right testes, okay? Usually. And these testes are very important because usually these testes have a different types of cells there, which has to do with the sperm productions, okay? Let's write down sperm productions, and we'll talk about the physiology, okay? And where is this located? You see the structure right here? This is called my scrotum. All right, this is my scrotum right here. And then this is like on top of this testis. What is this, like convoluted? Okay, this is called, all right, this is called epididymis, okay? And we'll talk about more about it, but I'm just naming about this. So remember, there's this testis here, and this testis is, okay, bound with, look, testis is kind of embedded with this structure, which is called scrotum, right? And remember, this testis is sort of like, they have this connective layer of tissues that is connected with this scrotum, okay? See the connective tissue here, okay, that is connected to the wall of the scrotum. This is called, okay, this is sort of like a ligament here, okay? This is a testicular sensitive ligament, okay? The specific name is given there, which is called gubernaculum, okay, which is called gubernaculum cordis. This is called gubernaculum cordis, all right? And this, on top of this, right here, this testis is called epididymis, which I talked about it right here, right? And then from the epididymis, look, there's one tube is coming down here, okay? This tube, okay, usually we call them a spermatic cord, all right? Because this spermatic cord is the one that contain here like different types of like blood vessels or lymph nodes, okay, lymph vessels, and also vas deferens. So we'll write down vas deferens, okay, or ductus deferens as another name for that. And what happens as this go upward, okay, as this go upward, what is going to happen? It goes posteriorly and enters to this urinary bladder, because guys, you guys remember this is a urinary bladder, right? And then you guys know this. What is this called? This is called ureter, because it is bringing the urine from the kidney, right? And this makes a trigone here. But that, as this go here, okay, this vas deferens, okay, you can simply think about this as a vas deferens. And then, okay, and it makes like at the terminal end of this vas deferens, okay, what happens is that there's a dilated portion you get to see, okay? And this dilated portion, we can call this as ampulla, okay? And this ampulla. And what happens, this ampulla, okay, with fused with this another accessory organ here. This accessory organ is called seminal vesicle, all right? And we'll talk about what each one of them do, but I'm just labeling for now. This seminal vesicle has a duct, okay, which is called seminal duct. From the seminal duct and from this terminal end of these vas deferens, they come fused together, okay? And then when they come fused together, what happens? They make this one duct, okay? And this one duct you see right here, this is called ejaculatory duct, all right? This is called ejaculatory duct. And this ejaculatory duct, what is going to happen is it will drain into this, or it will drain into first the internal urethra, okay? Because this portion right here, up to here, let's say here, we call that is a prostatic urethra, because it's this two guys here, look, there's a prostate here, okay? Remember, prostate is one, okay? This prostate, this portion right here, okay, we call them up to here, we call them up because there's a prostate gland out there. So because of that, we call them a prostatic urethra. And, okay, then after that, look, you see this here? Because there's going to be this right down here. There's going to be a urogenital diaphragm, okay, and then also the external, look, there is an external urethral sphincter is going to be down around here, okay, inferior to this prostate gland, okay, and this portion right here, okay, this up to here, we call them a membranous urethra, okay, this is called membranous urethra. Remember, this urethra had membrane, so remember, this portion is called membranous urethra, and membranous urethra is usually like really small comparing to your prostatic urethra, and also there's one more urethra we have to talk about, which is the longest one, and this is called, and this all the way down from here, okay, all the way down from here to here, we call this part as a, okay, we can call this a penile, okay, urethra, or also call them a spongy urethra, okay. So your urethra has three divisions right here. This is called prostatic urethra, there's a membranous urethra, and the penile urethra, okay? And this is a membranous urethra, right? Now, this portion right below the membranous urethra, right here, actually which is embedded right here, this portion up to here. You see this is also, there's one more, there's a gland here, okay? And these glands are called Cowper's gland, okay? It's a Cowper's gland, or also call them as a bulbourethral gland also, all right? And then in this portion right here, okay, from here to here, this is your penis, okay? And remember, based on your geographical reasons, okay, you can call this penis, or you can also call this penis, whatever you like to call, okay? Now what we have to discuss about is that, okay, this, if I do, or let's say, if I make a cut here, and then if I draw a penis right here, okay, you see this right here, we have to discuss about the different roots and different parts of the penis, okay? And then also, not only that, we also have to discuss about this different part of the testes, okay? We have to do that. Now, before we go there, what we're going to discuss about is that, let's talk about the testes, because it's really important, all right? So let's go a little more detail about this, okay, after this. So, if I quickly draw, all right, so if let's say I quickly draw here, let's say you can think about this. This is a testis right here, and remember this is a scrotum here, okay? So let me draw a scrotum here first, all right? So usually, look, this is going to be my scrotum right here, okay? Let's say this is my scrotum, all right? And then there's going to be all right? We'll make a testis right here. There are going to be two of them. Let's write it down here, okay? Two of them, like this, okay? And remember, these two testes, okay, they're connected. There's one more septum here, okay? And they're sort of like, there's one more septum here, which is called testicular septums, okay? And that, that separates the right and left testes, okay? And remember, this testis is bound with this wall of the scrotum here, okay? And this wall of the scrotum is called granuculum coda, all right? Now, and remember, there's this different layers of the scrotum here, right? It's very important. And you see like this right here, this coming down here, the scrotum making this. Okay, this part right here, which is gonna go upward. And if I could let's make this as, okay, let's just make this as, this is my abdominal, okay? Let's say this is my abdomen. If this is my abdomen, you see this area, this passage, okay? From here, usually in the gestation period, okay, what happens is that these testes are not located in here, okay, not in this. They're inner abdomen regions, okay. So what happens? This testis descends downwards, okay, and goes and then, okay, and then sits in the scrotum, okay. That's what happens. The process of, okay, descending these testes, okay, testes from here, and then coming all the way down and sitting down here, okay? That is controlled by the hormone, and that is testosterone, okay? Because if there's a low level of testosterone is there producing, okay, then what is the migrations of these testes may not occur, okay? And you need to remember, because there is a clinical condition that are associated with this, okay? If there's if the testes are, let's say the failure of testes to descend downward, okay, then there is a condition called cryptorchidism, okay? Let's write down. It's called okay, it's a cryptorchidism, okay? There is a clinical condition. Because basically this means is that the failure of testes descend downward and sitting down and sitting with this scrotum, okay? Now, this part right here, okay? The way this part right here, the way it is coming out, this passes are, we call them inguinal canal, okay? This is called inguinal canal. And you need to remember this, okay? Inguinal canal, right here. All right? Now, after this, what we have to talk about here is that, remember, there's a different layers of this, different layers of testes, and as we go, we'll talk about more about that too, okay? Now let's make this the testes, okay? If I make a testes right here, let's write it down here, okay? So what is going to happen here is that, okay, let's go a little detail about this, okay? So if I make a testes right here, right? So let's make this, okay, let's make this as this is my, let's say, testes, okay? And then inside the testes, okay, first what is going to happen? So let's say make an inner layer right here, okay? There is an outer layer of this testes, okay? This is called tunica, which is called tunica vaginalis, okay? Tunica vaginalis. Remember, tunica vaginalis has a parietal layer or a visceral layer, okay? So you can make this as a parietal and visceral layer. And this is, you can say this as a potential space, okay? Because if there is accumulations of fluid in here, okay, that can create edema here, and which is called hydrocele, okay? And we'll talk about that too, okay? And then after that, there's one more layer which is embedding down here, and this layer I'm making this as, this is called tunica, okay? It's called tunica it's called tunica albuginea. That's what it's called, okay? This layer. All right? I'm talking about testes right here, all right, guys? And what happens is that this testes, this tunica albuginea, you know, it's a fibrous connective tissue. And sometimes what happens, it extends, okay? Extends more inner and then create like this, okay? Let's say it creates a lobules like this, okay? It creates a lobules like this. And it creates about like a 200 to 250 lobules, okay? And these are called testicular lobules, okay? What is it called? They're called testicular lobules. And this is important because these testicular lobules are the extensions of tunica albuginea, right? This is a tunica albuginea. And because inside this, okay, testicular lobule, this is where you're going to see a convoluted tubules, okay? Let's make this a convoluted tubule like this, okay? And you usually see like a 2 or 3 of these structures, okay? 2 or 3 structures of this. And what are these? These are the functional unit of your testes, okay? It's really, really important because these are functional testes. What is this name? These are called, okay, seminiferous tubules, okay? These are called seminiferous tubules, all right? These seminiferous tubules is the one, okay, that has a different types of cells here, and we'll talk about what this. These seminiferous tubules has a, okay, you have to remember this, pseudostratified columnar epithelial cells here, okay? Now, let's make this, okay? And these are testicular lobules, okay? And remember, these are different convoluted areas, right? These are convoluted, all right? And each of them, they have about 250 this testicular lobules, which is created by this tunica albuginea, right? And then from this, okay, from this, let's make this, okay? From this convoluted tubule, okay? What is going to happen is that they will, obviously we'll talk more about it, but remember, actually let's talk more detail about it. Let's write it down here, okay? Let's make this convoluted seminiferous tubule right here, okay? If I make this, let's make a, let's say convoluted seminiferous tubule like this, okay? And then it makes create like this, okay? Look, this is a seminiferous tubule right here, okay? And then it's gonna have a lumen there, okay, which is called seminiferous lumen and all, okay? And this seminiferous tubules has a two very, very important cells there, okay? Let me write it down. Let me write the name of the cells, okay? One of the cells is very important cells, which are called, okay? These are called germ cells, or you can simply call their gonadal cells, germ cells, okay? These are called spermagonia, okay? Because spermagonia basically means that these are cells that is going to synthesize sperm, okay? So that's located in the seminiferous tubule, okay? And not only that, there's also one more cells, okay, which is kind of like providing the nourishment, okay, to this cell, to this spermagonia, okay? What is that called? We call them Sertoli cells, okay? They're called Sertoli cells. Or they're also called sustentacular cells, okay? Sustentacular cells. Because these guys are provide what? They're nourishing this they're nourishing to produce the sperm, okay? So they're providing nourishment, okay? That's what these guys are doing. But remember, these guys are not only the sustentacular cells or the sustentacular cells which are supporting this, okay? They have multiple functions, okay? And then let's talk about these multiple functions. Remember, these are also called, okay, because they're providing nourishment, we call them, okay, nerve cells also, okay, because they provide nourishment. These Sertoli cells has both endocrine and exocrine functions, okay? That's one more thing that's very important. Because remember, these guys we'll talk more about in physiology, but these guys are very, very important for, okay, secreting, because these Sertoli cells are more like columnar type of cells, okay? These guys are very, very important for secreting this hormone called androgen, okay, let's write androgen, okay, androgen binding proteins, okay? And these androgen binding protein concentrated testosterone, okay? And then also there's other one it produces, okay? We'll write it down, inhibin. It's called inhibin. And this inhibin, okay, what is the role of this inhibin is it regulates your follicular stimulating hormones, okay? How much it can release from your anterior pituitary, it is regulated by this inhibin. It's a negative feedback loop. We'll talk about it in physiology. Not only there's also the Sertoli cell, the sustentacular cell, also produces something called Mullerian inhibiting factors, or you can also say Mullerian inhibiting product, Mullerian inhibiting substance, okay? But guys, you know, you always get extra here, right? You gotta know more, okay? They also, okay, secrete something called transferrin, okay? This is for transporting iron, all right? This Sertoli cells also secretes that. Not only that, they also secrete ceruloplasmin. And what is ceruloplasmin is? These are for the, okay, these guys are very, very important for the transporting copper. So all these guys, okay, these guys are released by or secreted by this Sertoli cell. But these are some of the endocrine and exocrine functions of this Sertoli cells. We know that they're providing structure support, providing nourishment. But remember one more thing. These Sertoli cells also create, okay, something called blood, all right, blood testis barrier, okay? And what is the importance of this, all right? Because remember, if I quickly make one cell right here, all right? Let's make this. Remember, let's make this one here, okay? Look, let's make this, look, let's say this is my, we can simply say this is my Sertoli cells here, okay? The Sertoli cells. And then we can make this as, let's say, this cells is here, this is a sperm, let's say, this is like a germ cell, okay? Spermagonia, all right? What happens is that this Sertoli cell, the providing nourishment, what they do is they create this, like here, with a blood testis barrier like this, okay? And these blood testis barriers, they created by, okay, they're coming together, okay? This testis barriers, okay? And these guys have different proteins there, okay? The occludin proteins, okay? They create tight junctions, okay? And what happens is that there will be no blood, okay? There's no blood is interacting with, okay, sperm productions. these are cytoplasmic bridges that's created by the Satori cells is called blood-testis barrier. And the reason why it's important is that if there's a blood is connect with these sperm production cells, okay, what is going to happen? The immune reaction will occur, okay? And because of the immune reaction will occur and that will destroy the sperm production, that is the reason why, the Satori cell provides this cytoplasmic bridges. So because of that, there is no contact with the blood and the sperm production cells. It is very, very important concept, okay? Remember, as I said, Satori cells, androgen binding protein secretes or produces androgen binding proteins, inhibin, okay? Mullerian inhibiting factors, this transfer in cytoplasm. It also creates this blood-testis barrier, okay? And the importance of blood-testis barrier is, it has to do with sperm productions, okay? After this, and remember, this is what is happening. This is happening in the seminiferous tubule, okay? And remember, outside of the seminiferous, let's say, okay, outside of this, if we make this is, let's say, this is going to be, let's say, my seminiferous tubule, right? Outside of this, in there, there's what? There's going to be lamina propria. There's also another cells are down here, okay? And there's another cells are here. There are two types of cells. One are called interstitial cells, okay? Or they also called Leydig cells. They're called interstitial. And also the myoid cell is also there. These myoid cells are very, very important cells because these myoid cells are smooth muscle cells. They do involuntary contractions, so that causes peristaltic, okay? And these Leydig cells are very, very important, okay? We'll talk about them because these are the one that is going to, help making androgens, all right? They're the one who makes the androgens. So we'll talk about the physiology, all right? Now, after this, okay, let's say, after this, what is going to happen is that this convoluted, from this convoluted, okay, seminiferous tubules, okay, what is going to happen? They will, because they're producing the immature sperm, okay, and in physiology we'll go more detail about it, that will get drained into this structure right here, okay, but there's still a seminiferous, but the seminiferous tubule has a convoluted part and also other part here, okay? This is straight part, okay? And for this straight part, what do we call them? We call them, let's say tubuli, we call them tubuli recti, okay? That's what it's called, rectum and straight, okay? So this seminiferous convoluted part, which kind of drain into this, let's say, into tubuli recti, okay? And from the tubuli recti, what is going to happen? That is going to, all right, let's talk about this. That is going to make like network, okay? Because remember, this is one seminiferous tubule. There's other one too, okay? There's other one. Other one is going to come here, okay? So let's make this, let's say, this is let's say other one is there, okay? So it's going to make a build of lots of them, okay? And when it builds from the other seminiferous tubule like this, okay, let's just make this, okay? This network, okay? This network that is made by different tubuli recti, we call them, okay, retitestes. Okay, this is called retitestes. Okay, let's write it. It's called retitestes. All right. Now, from this retitestes, okay, it is going to go and drain into. Look, from the retitestes, okay, it's going to go drain into. There's another tube. Okay, this is going to be another tube, which is called vasa efferentia. This is called vasa efferentia, okay? It is very important concept, guys. You should remember this. It's really important because remember, this is how, okay? This is how it gets into, what is this called? In the epididymis, okay? So that's why you have to remember. From the vasa efferentia, that's where, okay, it is going to go and drain into this convoluted part, okay? This convoluted part, what do you call this? Another convoluted part. This is called your epididymis, okay? This is called epididymis. So look, again, your seminiferous tubules, okay, they will secrete out, let's say, seminal vesicles into this straight tubule, which is called tubuli recti, okay? And there are going to be lots of those seminal tubules, okay? So though, and then if that means there's gonna a lot of this tubular recti too, okay? So when the lot of tubular recti come together, they create a network, okay? The network is called reticestis, okay? And the reticestis will drain into, there's a structure which is called vasa efferentia, and from the vasa efferentia, it will drain into this epididymis, okay? And remember, this epididymis also has a different parts. This top layer, this part, we call them, because it's up, we call them a caput epididymis, okay? And this middle, there's a middle layer, we call them up, okay? Because it's body, right? So you can call them up, okay? Corpora epididymis, and then at the end portions, we call them a cauda epididymis, okay? So this is epididymis. So this is a caput, corpora, and caudal epididymis. This is the different parts of this epididymis, okay? Then after that, from this, look at this. We're going very detailed about this, right, guys? So same thing here happening here too. From here, the tube is going to go where? That is going to drain into, okay, this tube, tubular recti, and then go to the reticestis, then vasa efferentia, okay, or we can call them a ductus efferentia too, okay, and then that will drain into the epididymis. So we'll make, okay, then I'll make from there, okay, like from here, let's make, I'm just going to make it down here, all right? So this will make from, okay, quickly, let's make this. Let's just make this, okay, and then tube, all right? And then from here, not making the vasa, and I'll make just this, you can think about this as a epididymis, okay? And this epididymis, okay, it is very important. What kind of cells are in the epididymis here? You have to remember this, right? Well, this epididymis has pseudo-stratified, okay, columnar epithelial cells. It's very important because, look, these epididymis is, okay, this is where the sperm, okay, because remember, production sperm is happening in here, okay? This is where, in the epididymis is where they get motile, okay, and maturations, okay? And also, not only motile maturations, not only that's going to happen here, but at the same time, they also is the store. Remember, this is the sperm gets stored in the epididymis. That's where it gets stored, okay? That also gets motile, that also get storage there, okay? And even in there too, okay, they have a phagocytic process there, okay? Phagocytosis of sperm also happen in the epididymis, all right? But now let me tell you one more thing, guys. This immature sperm right here, right, that produced in this seminiferous tubule, they do not move by themselves, okay? The way they move is through the peristaltic contraction that is created by these myoid cells and also the fluid movement, okay? Even in the epididymis, okay, when they get motile and mature and store, they still don't move by themselves, okay? Whenever sperm there are in your male reproductive systems, sperm do not move by itself. Once it ejaculated, okay, then into female, into vagina, then, you know, they get exposed to oxygen and all. That's the only where they will move by themselves, okay? Before that, at least in human male reproductive system, sperm does not move by themselves, okay? That's something that you have to remember. Now, after this, this will get drained into, okay, this part here, which is called vas deferens, okay, or ductus deferens. This vas deferens is the secondary house. Let's write it down, okay? This vas deferens is the secondary house for the, let's say, sperm storage. Okay, so secondary house for the sperm. The first one is going to be epididymis, okay? And even there also they have a lining of the cells, same thing. They have the lining of cells which are going to be pseudo-stratified columnar epithelium, okay? Now one more thing that I do have to talk about here is that the role of this guy, this vas deferens. You guys know about the vasectomy, right? What does that mean? Usually there is a permanent way of the contraceptions, okay, for male. So what they do is like they cut this, Vast differences, okay, like this. When they cut it and then they close this, okay, with different drugs, they close it, they ligate this, okay. So when they ligate this, this is a permanent way for the contraceptions, okay. So that means what is going to happen? The sperm would not able to go up. It's not going to go to the ampulla. It's not going to mix with the seminal vesicles. It's not going to go to the urethra, and it's not going to come out, right? So this process, okay, this process where they cut this vas differences and then they ligate it, okay. So this process is known as called vasectomy, okay. But remember, this is almost, once you cut this, it's almost like nearly impossible to rejoin this back, okay. It's almost irreversible, all right. So it is very, very important that if you ever decided to do this, okay, think about it, right? Because it's almost irreversible, all right. And remember, even after the vas differences, okay, usually what happens is that maybe like for 3 months or so, you should use different other contraceptive methods. So that way, if you are involved in coitus process, coitus means sexual intercourse, okay, then the woman does not get pregnant, because still there's some sperm is present here, okay. So like maybe if you cut it down here, still they're present here, so it can come, all right. So because of that, okay, usually you should wait like about like a 3 months, okay, about like a 3 months, so that way, or if you just decided to have intercourse at the meantime, it's really important that you use different or other contraceptives like condoms and other stuff, okay. Now after this, okay, what is going to happen? This will come down here, and then it is going to get straight in this ampulla area, because this is usually ampulla area where the sperm gets stored, okay. Now after this, you have to talk about this another this accessory organs, okay, and this is called seminal vesicles, all right. So we'll talk about the seminal vesicle right here, okay. Let's try it on a second, because this seminal vesicle is very, very important for a couple of things, because it will contribute about like 60% of your seminal fluid, okay. And it's really, really important for sperm, because this seminal vesicle is the one that actually, secrete something called fructose. This is very, very important. Fructose is used by sperm to produce ATP, okay, and it's very, very important. But remember, not only it secretes fructose, but it also secretes like prostaglandins, okay? And this prostaglandin has a function. It causes a uterine contractions, okay? And that causes the sperm to move upward, okay, in female. But they also secrete like clotting factors, okay? Like for example, fibrinogen. And this fibrinogen is very, very important because it can coagulate the sperm, okay? So these are some of the properties, or these are some of the things that this seminal vesicle secretes. Not only this, okay guys, there are other things that you should remember, that is, ascorbate or the flavin, other amino acids too. And usually this flavin is one that is actually used in the forensic to detect the semen, okay? Now, so when this seminal vesicles, okay, secretes all of this, but remember this secretion of seminal vesicles, this happens on the response of the testosterone level, okay, on the testosterone. So when it secretes down here, okay, what is going to happen? It's going to go down to this area right here, and this is called ejaculatory duct here, okay? And you guys know this structure here, right? This is a prostate, okay? And remember, prostate gland has some of the functions or some of the properties. From the birth to puberty, your prostate gland usually increases, okay? And in relatively your age to up to like 30, 35 years or 40 years old, they're relatively stable. But in your advanced age, they grow, okay? They become increase in size, all right? And there is a clinical condition that are associated with the prostate gland, okay? But right now, we're not going to focus on the clinical condition. We'll talk about in pathology. But this prostate gland, okay, with this duct, they'll secrete something important, okay, some of these important substances. Remember, this prostate gland has like, you know, it has a, it's a glandular epithelium. Okay, we also, the gland is like a, it's called tubulo-alveolar gland, and it has a, you know, simple cuboidal squamous, and then also like some of them might have occasionally pseudostratified also, okay, epithelium there. These guys are very, very important secreting. Let's write down prostate gland here, okay? We talk about seminal vesicle, right? Let's write down prostate gland. Where should I write down? Okay, let's write down prostate gland here. Okay, I'll make this prostate gland right here, okay? This is a prostate gland because it's very important for secreting some of the stuffs, okay? What are they? These secrets, okay, something called PAP. What is this? This is called prostate, okay, acidic phosphatase, okay? That's what it is called. There's also another one which is called PSA. What is this called? Prostate specific antigens, all right? You have to remember this all that. They also secrete fibrino. Okay, this is called fibrinolysis. Remember, seminal vesicle secrete fibrinogen, that's a clotting. But this fibrinolysis, what it does, okay? It breaks those clotting factors. Okay, that's what it does, okay? Now, not only this, they also secrete like citric acid. Okay? Remember, the citric acid is used by, okay, sperm to run the Krebs cycle to produce ATP. But not only that, there's also, you guys remember this something called seminal plasmin. You should remember this. This seminal plasmin, okay? This seminal plasmin is an antibodies, okay? That is secreted by the prostate gland. And this seminal plasmin, what it does, because in antibodies, it does not allow bacteria. It kills the bacteria, okay? So this is to fight for those bacteria, right? So this prostate also secretes something called seminal plasmin, all right? Remember this, your PSA, this prostate-specific antigens, okay? The level of this prostate-specific antigens and also PAP, okay? The this acidic phosphatase, these guys usually use as a clinical marker to, okay, to determine whether the person has a cancer or not, okay? Because the person could have something called benign, okay, benign hyperplasia prostate, okay? Or you can call it because there's something called, you know, these are the conditions, which is the hyperplasia prostate happens, okay? So usually if there's a high level of PSA there, okay, we can determine that there's this, you know, which is benign, which is non-cancerous, okay? So these are the different clinical markers we can use to know whether a person has a, you know, the cancer or not, all right? Now, after this, okay, let's say the seminal vesicle is coming. The prostate is secreting all that stuff, right? Then after that, what is going to happen? It's going to go to this membrane part. And you see this gland right here, this Scarpa gland, they also secrete some of the stuff. And remember, seminal vesicle secretes about like a 60% or so of the substances, okay, that is adding to the seminal fluid. Then after this prostate, which is like about 20 to 30%, okay, secretes all the substances. Then after that, this Cowper gland, okay, this Cowper glands, also called bulbourethral gland, okay, they secrete, very, very important, like what they secrete, let's write down here, like lubricant, like lubricant materials, okay, and then usually this lubricant materials is like, you know, that makes it sticky, okay, and this prostatic gland secretion, all this gland, these are the one that makes those, you know, fluid, like, you know, milky appearance, all right? And the seminal vesicles and the Cowper glands secretions, they give those, you know, sticky fibers, all right? Now, this lubricant, these are usually made of, like, you know, let's write down galactose, okay, few of them, you know, we can also say this is a methylphenol, right? And also like, you know, galacto-uronic acid, sialic acid, all of that, okay? So basically these guys, your galactose, glucurononic acid, methylphenol, sialic acid, all of them, all right? This gives us a lubricant, all right? So you can remember that the Cowper gland is providing, you know, a lubricant, all right? That's what it is doing. So now after that, what is going to happen? After that, this will drain into the after the membranous urethra, it will go to the penile urethra and it will come out from here. Okay, so now these are the functions and a little bit of histology of this secondary sexual characteristic. Okay.